So by now, as you're seeing this video, tickets have already gone on sale and people are relishing in the fact that they just bought tickets to the possible one-time reunion of the legendary band My Chemical Romance. And looking back now, that breakup that we had the last 6.5 years was the absolute best thing to happen to this band. They are absolutely more popular than they ever have been and have this absolute legend and aura surrounding them now. One that I can't even say any band that you would even consider in the emo sense anywhere sort of ever that was even around back then even has. And this is a band that's been broken up for 6.5 years now, and they have that. I look back on March 23rd and remember when they broke up. Remember hearing that my favorite band, I possibly would never ever see them live until possibly this year, fingers crossed for a US tour. And now they pick the absolute perfect time to reunite because they now bridge the gap between the past music emo scene and today's what is left of whatever is alternative. If you remember back into 2008, 2012, that was peak emo time. That was peak Raw XD, Hot Topic, Eyeliner time. And suddenly, when the world was still at its peak with it and they needed it most, kind of like the Avatar: The Last Airbender, they vanished. They broke up. No more My Chemical Romance. A rift in the system, as they say. And after that time, rock music and emo music as a whole steadily went in a decline, and people who grew up in that time and were teenagers, as they grew up into their 20s, watched their favorite bands like Blink-182, or now what I would call them the Mark, Travis, and Alkaline Trio Show, and Fall Out Boy, and even like Panic! At the Disco. Watch them all change their sound so dramatically while still keeping on and being this just remnant of what they used to be and what people remembered back in the day. But in people nowadays' minds who were around back then, this band, My Chemical Romance, has stayed almost perfectly just frozen, like in time. They are still stuck playing in 2012. People envision that. They envision them playing even back in 2006, like in 2004. Like people still talk about and share images of Gerard Way's, all the makeup and every aesthetic from the Three Cheers tour. Today, they're a band that is just stuck in time as this perfection, as I would say. And now, I don't know if you notice, but we are a generation, the entire generation that we're in now is a generation obsessed with nostalgia and hindsight. Think about how many things are now based in the 90s, how many people reminisce on the 90s culture in an amazing and nostalgia. It was better back then than it was now. And even people reminiscing and wanting it to be 2008 again, who are alternative. Think about how many of them are just like, even today on Instagram, you can go through the hashtag emo, hashtag alternative, and you see people dressing up as if it was 2009 and they are gonna go listen to Blood on the Dance Floor or Attack Attack. They just love that aesthetic, not just as this, but they do look at it as a time was better back then. Now, the country was in the middle of a recession and we had entirely different problems going on that were, comparatively speaking, there were still pretty big things going on. However, people look at that and they say, you know what, it was so much better back when I could just go raw on MySpace. And My Chemical Romance bridged that gap. People nowadays who are now in their 20s or even 30s see them and think, remember back when things were better. Wow, I can see My Chemical Romance and it's just like it was. Meanwhile, you have the younger kids who were probably like 6 to 10 at the time who never would have gotten to see My Chemical Romance at the time live. They see it as they look at the scene now. The one that is considering 21 Pilots emo and bands that there's great bands out there like Palais Royale or As It Is, but there's not many, and they see what is dying. They see the scene that they love, that they may still hold on to, and think, man, I wonder what it was like back then. Like they have this envision, kind of like people probably did when they were born in the 90s, thinking back to disco. Like they think, wow, it was so much better. I could be emo back then and it not be like there were way more people back then, because there were. I mean, I remember it just being like, look at MTV playing rock music. Like, that's crazy. You would never think of that nowadays. You would never think of the stuff that was going on back then now. And just times change, but people think, wow, it must have been so much better back then. They view My Chemical Romance and Gerard Way and all of the band's works as something passed down from generation to generation, kind of like, I envision this kind of like in Fight Club, like when Robert Paulson, his name is Robert Paulson, his name is Robert Paulson, and you have all these people just echoing it down, and they finally got a name, and now they're like this known thing that people are just passing down, and it's like, okay, you know, they are My Chemical Romance. They are My Chemical Romance. People who are now 13 years old nowadays, who were like barely, I don't even know if some of them were alive when the Black Parade got released, are now saying, wow, they're my favorite band. Like, and being modern nowadays. Like, that's crazy. That's like, it's not like me saying, you know, Aerosmith is my favorite band, when, I mean, technically they're still touring, but I mean, they're older. Like, people don't look at it that way. They look at, wow, you like a modern band for some reason. I don't know, but that's why I'm making this video. And like I mentioned before, we never saw My Chemical Romance grow on stage. We never saw them hit the ages where they're like in their 40s and they're having some 15th anniversary tour of 3 Cheers or something. We didn't see them have a 10th anniversary tour of the Black Parade. We didn't see them, okay, well, we're slowly aging, let's change our sound, let's work with other artists. They stayed, like I said, completely young. They stayed in that 27 to 30-year-old bracket. And another reason that I have to acknowledge, just because, I mean, it's a minor point, but it still holds true. You know, alt press and Hot Topic and everything related to emo are just, their mouths are watering right now looking at how much money could be made from this. Even anybody close to related to emo is just, they were hoping for this day. They're amazed that this is happening. Everybody, I saw hundreds of posts yesterday saying, oh my god, I can't even, OMG shook, My Chemical Romance, this is not a drill, when you can revive your emo days. People that had never thought about it had waited on this, and I saw so many viral tweets yesterday just because, oh my god, I gotta hit the fire while it's hot, you know. They took full advantage of it. I think Alt Press probably tweeted 100 times yesterday. They gotta get that, capitalize on the emo crowd, and they gotta capitalize on the Hot Topic crowd, and eventually Hot Topic's gonna make millions and millions and millions of rich Lamborghini yacht money off of the emo scene, what is left, and everybody buying merch. And you know that's gonna push it super hard, and you know that MCR is gonna sell out every arena that's gonna ever be. Like, you know, any place they tour is going to sell out. People are going to jump on that because, like I said, you have all of these demographics. You have everybody behind you pushing that forward above everything. Don't even bother, you know, playing a show that day. Don't even bother, like, even their album cycle. Like, thinking you're going to get press from that. Thinking you're going to beat them out. Because that album, if they ever released one, which I'm still debating on whether I even want them to, you don't think that that's going to not hit number one? You don't think that any tour date they sell is going to sell out quicker than anything? And it's crazy. And you have this huge thing behind them, and they just pick the perfect time. They've grown like Ryan Ross has, because like My Chemical Romance, he stayed in this one spot and now gets all this, the memes and the generous internet they see him as this beacon of the past. And they didn't see him grow up to be like Blink-182. And same thing with My Chemical Romance. They see all the pictures of them still in 2006, and they have just had this time capsule that they've been sitting on that is now about to shed its light. And you know what helps? They stuck with the art. Like Gerard Way had said before, it's not just a band, it's an idea, and they stuck with that. It truly is an idea. With everything that I said right now, it truly is the embodiment of everything that was good about the emo alternative days, and they stuck with it. They never ever compromised the art. They never sold out. They kept the faith, and have now, through all of their stuff that they've all completed and done in the past 6 years, get to enjoy the fruits of their labor and the magic of the internet that they could have never predicted back in 2001 when they started this band. What would ever become of this? Like, it's got to be something crazy for them. As I'm filming this right now, in 10 minutes tickets go on sale, and it's just absolutely crazy. The fact that I can say right now, I can't believe people are going to buy tickets to a My Chemical Romance show. And I hope so badly for a cross-country run. I'm definitely going to be there. I hope, you know, it'd be amazing. But anyways, like, share, subscribe. I guess that's what you got to say at the end of this. And thank you so much for watching, and happy MCR Day. That I never knew this was ever going to happen.